You've probably heard about wealthy individuals like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Bill Gates, who own massive companies around the world. But have you ever thought about the families that operate in the shadows, quietly making big moves and shaping our world behind the scenes? We are talking about the Rothschilds, one of the wealthiest families in the world. But are those conspiracy theories claiming they run the world just made-up stories, or is there some real mystery behind it? Stick around until the end, because today we will uncover how the Rothschilds brutally control the world. How the Rothschilds control the world. It's a well-known fact that a significant portion of the world's wealth is concentrated in the hands of a select few influential families. This minority, often referred to as the 1%, is believed to exert substantial control over global events. Among these influential families, the Rothschild family is frequently regarded as one of the most powerful and wealthiest. They own castles, banks, hospitals, wineries, and more. Some estimate their wealth at around trillions of dollars in assets spread across the globe. The Rothschild dynasty was started by an ordinary man named Meyer Amschel Rothschild. With the help of his 5 sons, he laid the foundation for what would eventually become the world's mightiest dynasty. These Rothschilds, hailing from the Jewish quarter in Frankfurt during the 18th century, went on to establish banks throughout Europe, accumulating immense wealth and ranking among the wealthiest families of their time. When writing about the Rockefeller and Rothschild families, Harry Mount writes, "That is what makes these two dynasties so exceptional. Not just their dizzying wealth, but the fact that they have held on to it for so long. And not just the loot, but also their family companies." However, their wealth and influence have not been without controversy. Accusations of shaping global politics, fomenting conflicts, and playing significant roles in various financial crises have surrounded them. But are these allegations rooted in reality? Our story begins in 1744, when Meyer Amschel Bauer took his first breath in the free city of Frankfurt, Germany. He was born to an Ashkenazi Jew who ran a counting house and dabbled in money exchange. Now, what's strange is that on the entrance door of that counting house, there was a peculiar red hexagram sign. Little did anyone know this symbol held a numerical and geometric secret, amounting to the number 666. Interestingly, that very sign ended up on the Israeli flag about 2 centuries later, a testament to the vast influence the Rothschilds held over the state of Israel. But do you know what other secrets are hidden behind this mysterious symbol and the number 666? According to the book of Revelation in the Bible, 666 is indeed often associated with the number of the beast. Yes, you heard it right. A symbol of evil and opposition to God. Furthermore, the hexagram is said to represent the union of opposites, embodying concepts like male and female, light and dark, and good and evil. These signs are also linked to the infamous secret society Illuminati, as the number 6 in the Illuminati is a symbol of imperfection and human sinfulness. Coincidence? Well, if you believe it is, your perspective might change when you hear what actually happened later. Back in 1770, Meyer Rothschild had a vision that would significantly influence the Illuminati. This society was led by another figure named Adam Weishaupt. Interestingly, despite Weishaupt's Jewish heritage, he openly practiced Roman Catholicism. In 1776, Weishaupt officially founded the Illuminati. Their main goal was to create conflict among non-Jewish people, known as the Goyim, using strategies related to economics, society, politics, and religion. They stirred up conflicts among the Goyim, providing them with arms and watching them turn against each other. This internal strife led to the downfall of governments and religious institutions, and in the end, it undermined their own power. During that year, Weishaupt infiltrated the Continental Order of Freemasons with Illuminati ideas and set up their secret base within the Grand Orient's lodges. All these devious plans were cleverly orchestrated and financed by Meyer Amschel Rothschild. The Rothschilds were often associated with larger anti-Semitic conspiracy theories that alleged the existence of a hidden and influential Jewish group responsible for significant global events. Later, they were also linked to the Zionist movement, a political and cultural movement aimed at establishing and supporting a Jewish homeland in the historical land of Israel. It's important to note that while some of the Rothschilds had little to do with Zionism and Israel, others played a significant role by supporting early pioneering settlements. Take, for example, Edmund James de Rothschild, the grandson of James Mayer de Rothschild. He was a prominent philanthropist and a leading proponent of Zionism, funding and establishing many Jewish settlements in Palestine. Some Rothschild family charities even continue to aid Israel to this day. However, it's essential to clarify that Israel was not solely the project of the Rothschilds, but a collective endeavor of the entire Jewish community. The rise of the Rothschild family to prominence was closely tied to the opportunities and challenges brought by the French Revolutionary and Napoleonic Wars from 1792 to 1815. In fact, some even believe they had a hand in various wars, revolutions, crises, and controversies, including the War of 1812. In 1811, a significant moment in history arrived when the charter for Rothschild's Bank in the United States reached its expiration date. The U.S. Congress had a pivotal decision to make, whether to renew renew the charter or not. Nathan Mayer Rothschild, the third son of Mayer Rothschild, voiced his thoughts and warned, "Grant the renewal of the charter or the United States will find itself entangled in a most disastrous war." But the United States chose to turn a deaf ear to this warning. This decision didn't sit well with Nathan, and he made another stern declaration: teach those audacious Americans a lesson, bring them back under colonial rule. And so in 1812, with Nathan Mayer's directive and backed by the immense wealth of the Rothschilds, the British declared war on the United States, marking a pivotal moment in history. The plan was to pile up a ton of debt on the United States during the war. The aim was to make the US more likely to give in to the wishes of the Rothschild family. They thought they could use this advantage to get the first bank of the United States charter renewed, but they didn't succeed in their plan. However, the Rothschild family stood as the dominant force in European investment banking and brokerage. Their influence extended far and wide, with family members holding seats in Parliament and the House of Lords and earning titles as barons in London. One of their most remarkable feats was Nathan Mayer Rothschild's control of the Bank of England by 1815. He boldly declared, "I care not what puppet is placed upon the throne of England to rule the empire on which the sun never sets. The man who controls Britain's money supply controls the British Empire, and I control the British money supply." Their motto was simple: control the world by controlling its money. Once, Deshaun Jackson, a former NBA player, also tweeted, "You know who the Rothschilds are? They control all the banks. They own all the banks." It wouldn't be wrong to estimate that they own the central bank in almost every country, especially the major ones like the United States, Canada, China, England, France, Mexico, and Spain. But the Rothschilds didn't stop at merely influencing global finances. They've been accused of manipulating the gold market for centuries. Up until 2004, they ran NM Rothschild, a powerhouse established in 1810. They held meetings twice a week, effectively determining the world's gold price alongside giants like HSBC and Deutsche Bank. Curiously, on the day NM Rothschild announced its closure, the price of gold plunged by $7 an ounce. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Some even believe that they are also responsible for every US recession and depression. Whether this is a conspiracy theory or not, it's easy to see why the Rothschilds might be connected to every economic fluctuation in the US and European economies. If they can influence gold prices, determine the outcome of wars, and control the Federal Reserve Bank, it's not a stretch to think they might have a hand in deciding when we experience a recession. The early rise of the Rothschilds. You see, from their very beginnings to the modern era, the Rothschild family has always claimed a Jewish heritage. This claim has been a key factor in their journey to becoming one of the most influential families in the world. However, sometimes appearances can be misleading. Long before they proudly embraced their Jewish roots, the ancestors of the Rothschilds weren't Jewish at all. They were Khazars, hailing from the mighty kingdom of Khazaria during the 7th century. In those times, religious affiliations held tremendous importance in the realm of politics and international relations. The Khazars, who practiced a form of Turkic religion called Tengrism, decided to convert to Judaism, leading to a mass religious transformation among the Khazarian elite and nobility. Fast forward to the 10th century, and their powerful alliances began to crumble. Without support and plagued by ongoing conflicts, the once mighty Khazar kingdom saw its power gradually wane. Sensing the impending downfall, the ruling elite craftily migrated to Europe, using Judaism as a clever disguise. As a result, many of the people who identify as Jewish today actually have their roots in Khazaria or are Ashkenazi Jews. Despite having Asiatic Mongolian genes, they managed to stake their claim to the land of Israel, even though their original homeland was what we now know as Georgia. This clever transformation allowed them to integrate into the Jewish community and enjoy the advantages associated with being part of this unique ethnic, religious, and cultural group. With their newfound influence, they began their ascent on the social ladder in monarchical Europe. Some even achieved nobility and founded their own dynasties, ultimately gaining political power in more than one kingdom. So they took on new names and acted like they were part of the majority to rise in the ranks. The idea was to get into powerful positions in their adopted homelands and work on their secret plans without anyone catching on. The Rothschild family, well, they're a prime example of this strategy taken to the extreme. It all started when Mayer returned to Frankfurt to take the reins of his family's business. It was at this moment that he made a significant change. He transformed his last name from Bauer to Rothschild when he grasped the significance of that red hexagram. In the German language, red is Rot, and Schild means sign. Mayer soon learned that his friend General von Estorff had close ties to one of Europe's wealthiest royal houses, Hesse-Hanau. Prince William the Liebend had built his fortune and elevated his house by offering his army as mercenaries to foreign countries in exchange for substantial sums of money, a practice that continues today in the form of peacekeeping missions. Mayer's shrewd mind concocted a plan. He reconnected with the general under the guise of selling valuable trinkets and coins at an irresistible discount. discount. As he had hoped, this brought him into the prince's presence. The prince was pleased with their dealings and welcomed him into his inner circle. The initial investment bore fruit, as Meyer found himself not only doing business with the prince, but also with the members of the royal court. Meyer quickly grasped the advantages of engaging with governments rather than individuals, and soon he became a court Jew, a person providing loans to the nobility and members of the court. This marked the beginning of the Rothschild family's journey in the world of finance, which was far from straightforward. In the year 1812, Mayer Rothschild passed away, and the weight of his legacy fell upon his son, Nathan Mayer Rothschild. Nathan took on the task of managing Wilhelm's wealth and upholding the Rothschild name. He chose to stay in London, while his eldest brother assumed control of the original Frankfurt business. The other three brothers set out to establish branches in vital European capitals. Despite the geographical distances that separated them, the Rothschild brothers stuck to a unified strategy. They concentrated on extending loans to the aristocracy and local governments. For example, the brother in France became the trusted banker of Leopold I of Belgium, and the one in Vienna offered financial support to the last Holy Roman Emperor, Francis II. In the year 1815, all five of the Rothschild brothers came up with a cunning plan to make money during the ongoing war in Europe. They supplied gold to both of the main parties in the conflict, the Duke of Wellington and Napoleon. Nathan, who was working in England, financed Wellington's army, while James, who was in France, supported Napoleon's army. This is when they began their strategy of financing both sides in any war. Wars gave them a chance to make money without taking risks. The family used their powerful banking system that stretched across all of Europe and set up a secret postal service network of hidden routes. This helped them get important information before it became public, giving them an advantage in current events. Plus, because of their influence, their messengers were the only ones allowed to get through the English and French blockades easily. This allowed Nathan Mayer to know about the war's status before anyone else and use that information to make a ton of money on the stock exchange. One such instance was when Nathan had the Battle of Waterloo's outcome a full day before Wellington. Back then, British bonds were called consols and were traded on the stock exchange floor. Nathan, knowing the war's result, started selling the consols. The selling in the market made it look like the British were losing, causing a lot of panic and a big selling spree. However, what remained concealed from the public eye was that Nathan, after orchestrating the initial sell-off, quietly and shrewdly bought up the consols. As the news of the British victory finally surfaced, the market soared even higher than before, and Nathan's investment yielded a profit nearly 20 times its original value. After Napoleon's defeat, the Rothschild family gained even more control and influence in the core of British finance. They used their power to change how the Bank of England operated, bringing in a whole new way of banking. Instead of relying on moving actual gold around, they introduced a groundbreaking system centered on using paper for debits and credits. This transformation laid the groundwork for the modern banking system we know today. In the years that followed, the Rothschild family played a vital role in shaping the financial landscape of Europe. Whenever a government faced a crisis and needed financial help, the Rothschilds were often the first to offer substantial loans. This was evident after the turbulent events of the French Revolution in 1830 and the collapse of the Holy Roman Empire. Their lending business thrived and showed remarkable growth. For instance, the Paris branch of the Rothschilds, which had started with a modest sum equivalent to $5 million in 1820, saw astonishing growth, reaching an impressive figure of over $500 million by 1850. In essence, during the 19th century, the five Rothschild families fulfilled a role very much like what the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, does in today's world. They acted as stabilizers for major currencies, offering crucial loans to governments while accumulating substantial profits. By the 19th century, the Rothschild banking family had indeed become one of the wealthiest and most influential families of their time, world's richest family. For centuries, the Rothschild family's name has been synonymous with immense wealth and global influence, yet surprisingly, many Americans remain unaware of their existence. They've built a worldwide empire that spans numerous industries, but it's not about leadership, it's about control. Through their banking establishments like N.M. Rothschild and Sons in London and Rothschild and Company in Paris exert indirect influence over central banks and financial institutions worldwide, manipulating the global economy for their own benefit. But if you think that their influence stops at banking, you might be wrong. The Rothschild family diversifies their investments, acquiring substantial stakes in some of the world's largest corporations, giving them unprecedented power to influence and manipulate various sectors, further expanding their wealth and control. Take, for instance, their connection to Apple. You might not have heard rumors about their involvement with Apple, but that's actually true. That's because the Rothschild family empire does the same thing that a lot of other billionaire families do. They control everything but own nothing, so their names never show up on ownership of any entity that requires them to reveal who the actual stockholders are, or they own shell shell companies, who in turn buy up other companies' stock and control it in the shadows of company secrecy. The Rothschilds are the puppet masters of the corporate world, with a significant stake in over 80% of the world's largest companies, including heavyweights like Facebook, Chevron, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and many more. So the next time you unlock your iPhone or scroll through your Facebook feed, remember that there could be more to these everyday actions than meets the eye. It's essential to be aware of the extensive influence they wield behind the scenes. Now back to the family's story. It's important to note that Maya Amschel Rothschild also had 5 daughters. They helped expand the Rothschild legacy without using the family name. You see, to preserve their wealth within the family, the initial Rothschild patriarch implemented strict rules for his daughters and granddaughters, allowing them to marry only their cousins. Maya devised a system where female family members received limited inheritances unless they followed these prescribed pairings. As a result, many of them ended up marrying their cousins, and in one case, even an uncle. This way, they could work without all the attention that comes with the Rothschild name.
In our family, we've always tried to keep love in the family. In this sense, it was more or less understood since childhood that children would never think of marrying outside the family, so that our fortune would never leave it.
Wealthy families often possess multiple estates, and the Rothschilds are no exception. They own over 1,800 opulent mansions, living a life of extravagant comfort. However, many of their estates were sold during the 20th century, including a collection of 35 farmhouses that fetched a staggering $24 million. One notable sale involved not just one home, but a collection of 35 houses located on a picturesque estate in Sussex, southeast England. The Rothschilds had owned this sprawling 700-acre estate since 1938, which included a 800-square-foot main residence. The most recent residents were James Rothschild and socialite Nicky Hilton, who surely appreciated the estate's stables, charming chapel, and idyllic country surroundings. While some estates have been sold, the Rothschilds still maintain control over properties like Waddesdon Manor and several others. The Waddesdon Manor undoubtedly stands as the crowning achievement of the Rothschild family. This architectural marvel was constructed for Baron Ferdinand de Rothschild and his family. The Baron didn't spare any expense, shelling out an estimated 1.5 million British pounds at the time. In today's currency, that would be roughly 210 million pounds. Today, this manor serves as a museum, attracting over 460,000 visitors annually. Well, except for the past 2 years when we were all hunkered down at home. But let's be honest, being quarantined in a place like Waddesdon Manor wouldn't be too shabby. Inside the mansion, opulence abounds, with an abundance of art adorning the walls. Baron Ferdinand's exquisite collection includes portraits by renowned British artists, as well as priceless carpets, tapestries, furniture, ceramics, books, and various treasures. However, the exterior of the manor is just as impressive as the interior. The creation of its splendid garden alone was worth what would translate to 68 million British pounds in today's currency. This house was home to 3 generations of Rothschilds before they made the extraordinary decision to open their magnificent estate to the public. Now that's a power move, leaving behind a $356 million estate for the public to marvel at your wealth. They also travel in the utmost style, owning over 100 private jets and an impressive array of more than 200 luxury yachts. The Planet 9 super yacht, acquired by Nat Rothschild from one of the newer generations of Rothschilds, is another bold statement of their immense wealth. This extraordinary vessel carries a staggering price tag of $102 million, firmly establishing it as one of the most expensive yachts worldwide. Designed to accommodate up to 16 guests, the yacht offers an opulent and lavish environment where a crew of 26 members ensures that guests are treated with the utmost care and attention, reflecting the Rothschild tradition. One of the yacht's standout features is its helicopter deck, which grants all visitors the freedom to come and go as they please. While the yacht is primarily built as an explorer ship, it doesn't skimp on luxury. It boasts sumptuous decor and an array of ultra-luxurious amenities. Perhaps most notably, the Planet 9 yacht carries a higher price tag than many of Rothschild's own apartments, houses, manors, and castles. Beyond finance and luxury yachts, their sphere of influence extends to various other aspects. They own 15 remote islands that offer them exclusive retreats and unmatched privacy, a privilege few can attain. Some even claim they've leveraged their political connections to gain dominion over vast natural resources, including diamonds, gold, lithium, and other precious minerals. These valuable alliances with Central African governments have allegedly allowed them to accumulate trillions of dollars worth of these resources, further fortifying their luxury and authority. And when it comes to their extravagant parties, there is something quite unusual. Their secretive gatherings often resemble strange, almost satanic rituals individuals. One of the most well-known Rothschild events was their Surrealists Ball in 1972, where prominent figures like Audrey Hepburn and Salvador Dali were present. Many have scrutinized the party's peculiar details, such as the reverse invitations, red lights and bizarre masks and sculptures, suggesting that the family is at ease with and regularly partakes in satanic practices. To most observers, it may simply appear as an extravagant way for the extremely wealthy to enjoy their riches. However, the secrecy and bizarre nature of these gatherings continue to fuel speculation and curiosity about the family's true intentions. But the most amusing of all is their art collection. The Rothschilds boast an extensive art collection, and they are among the most significant contributors to museums and galleries worldwide. A rough estimate suggests that their remarkable collection is worth approximately $2 billion. This collection spans from breathtaking paintings by some of history's most renowned artists to opulent furniture once used by royalty. The Rothschilds certainly know how to showcase their immense wealth while exuding impeccable taste and sophistication. Even Adolf Hitler, before his notorious role as a power-hungry dictator, had a keen interest in the Rothschilds' art collection. When his forces took over France, he personally seized some of the exquisite paintings for himself. Around 3,500 pieces of art were taken by the Nazis as spoils of war. While some have been returned, many of these artworks remain missing to this day. Let's now discuss some substantial incomes. Well, you might not believe it, but the Rothschild and Company net income for 2022 alone is estimated at a whopping $905.2 million, as reported by Forbes. Now, when you consider the vast scope of their financial activities, one can only imagine what their total net income might be. So how much are the Rothschilds truly worth? As the Financial Times has pointed out, the family empire is divided among a web of descendants and a few external shareholders. The ownership structure is opaque, which makes it hard to estimate the family wealth, although it is one of the richest in the world. Some sources suggest their net worth is around $400 billion, while others push the boundaries, suggesting it could be as high as a staggering $500 trillion. It's worth noting that estimating their wealth at just $400 billion seems unlikely, especially when considering that Jacob Rothschild alone is reported to hold $5 trillion. However, the notion that the Rothschild family possesses a net worth of $500 trillion and controls 80% of the world's wealth is greatly exaggerated. Forbes, a reliable source for tracking billionaires' net worth, has never published an estimate near $500 trillion. Their assessments typically fall within the range of billions to low trillions, while the exact extent of their wealth remains shrouded in secrecy. Forbes' estimate of $20 trillion. But remember, the Rothschilds have always been masters of keeping their wealth discreet, so the exact figure remains a closely guarded secret. The Rothschilds today. It is believed that as the 20th century rolled on, the younger generations of the Rothschild family didn't quite have the same level of success in their businesses. Maybe because in 1900 the Naples branch of the family actually disappeared when the last person who could carry on the family name passed away without any kids. Something similar happened in Germany. The two Rothschild heirs had 11 daughters but not a single son to carry on the family legacy, so they had to split up the family fortune, and it kind of lost some of its power. People think that if you look at the Forbes list of really rich people, the first Rothschild you find is way down at 1,284th place, and they're linked to an asset management company that handles other people's money, which doesn't sound as impressive as what the family used to do. So does that mean they are not wealthy now? Absolutely not. Actually, the Rothschilds are not on the Forbes list because the site itself states looking for Queen Elizabeth. You won't find her or any other royal on the list. Forbes doesn't include members of royal families or dictators who hold their wealth through a position of power or control riches of their country. You see, that's how the Rothschilds are seen. Some people may get confused when they see the Forbes list of wealthy individuals and spread the idea that the Rothschilds are now penniless. But that's what the Rothschild family wants us to believe. It's important to remember that the current Rothschilds might prefer to maintain a low profile about their wealth. This way they can work on their objectives quietly without attracting too much attention. So, while it may seem like they're not as visible in public these days, that doesn't necessarily mean they're lacking in resources or influence. However, the question remains, where are the Rothschilds today? In the modern world, the Rothschild dynasty has evolved into a global entity, with their financial interests primarily held within a publicly listed financial holding company spanning the French and British branches. Their business activities have expanded far beyond traditional banking, encompassing asset management, consulting, and diversified investments. They possess an array of assets, including real estate, yachts, art collections, and vineyards, although these are likely just a fraction of their holdings. The Rothschild family's financial influence endures to this day, with investments in major infrastructure projects like bridges, tunnels, and railways. One of their most prominent endeavors is the Suez Canal. They also have business interests in hotels, media, transportation, and the wine industry. What's surprising is that the head of the Rothschild empire today is still a Rothschild, which shows they know how to keep things going in the family. Alexander Rothschild, who represents the 7th generation, is all about keeping the family legacy alive and adapting to the times. Their influence still stretches into political circles. For example, Emmanuel Macron, who used to work for them, went on to become the economy minister of France. So they're not just sitting on their wealth, they're still playing a role in today's world. Now here's an interesting fact. Jacob Rothschild, the wealthiest Rothschild in today's date, is often compared to Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. He's got connections with some powerful people like the Queen of England and holds a substantial 38% stake in the Rockefeller Group. He's even friends with former United States President Bill Clinton, so we can say that they are still a big deal, even if they're not always in the headlines. Jacob's son, Nat Rothschild, is taking a unique route within the Rothschild family. He's forging his own path and is expected to become the wealthiest Rothschild in the future. Rather than working closely with his father at RIT Capital Partners, Nat spent a substantial amount of time in the hedge fund industry with Atticus. These days, he's involved in various deals related to natural resources, often partnering with Russian oligarchs. It's evident that he is carving his distinct niche in the family's financial pursuits. The Rothschilds' history is steeped in wealth and secrecy, giving rise to countless theories and questions. Their grip on the world's finances and influence on global events have kept them at the center of controversy. So whether you view them as financial wizards or puppet masters, their legacy remains a topic of intrigue and debate. Anyway, that's it for today's video. Do the Rothschilds brutally control the world, or is it a narrative shaped by myth and speculation? What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video, and check out these videos on your screen for more similar content.